Okay. Well, let's start. I want to start. We'll do the white book, and we'll look on page 80, page 80, at the homework for lesson B. And so this was the lesson from last Thursday morning.
Carlos.
One thing I need to say is that on your Thursday lessons are usually prepared and recorded by Susan, but Susan's computer is broken. La computadora de Susan está roto. So we will use the recordings, the classes from Allie on Wednesday, and put that on YouTube. And maybe Susan will buy a new computer. I don't know. But until Susan has a different computer, we will use lessons from Allie. She's the Wednesday night teacher. So, okay. So on your lesson from Thursday was about using the words could, and should. All right. So could is a word that is actually the past tense of the verb can. Okay. So let me share my screen for a minute. See if I can do this. Okay, so remember, you have learned the word can, like I can drive a car. Okay, so can is a word that means, es como poder, o sus habilidades, your abilities, what you can do. I can cook. I can cook Italian food. Okay, that's about what you are able to do or what you can do. If we say this in the past tense, like when I was a boy, now I need to use the past tense. I would say I could run fast. Okay. Or when my brother was in high school. All right, now I need past. He could play football. So could is a word that is past for the verb can. All right, so now if I can drive a car, if I say my mother-in-law, mi suegra, she's 90 years old, my mother-in-law, oops, let me change to my mother-in-law could drive when she was younger. Okay, but now she can't drive. She's too old. She cannot drive. So if I speak of when she in the past, I would say she could drive when she was younger. Now, we also use could to give advice, and that's what your lesson, the lesson 7B, the last lesson, could for giving advice. Or I'm sorry, to give, that's to give a suggestion. Sugestión, I think, is the Spanish for sugestión. So if someone says, I am so tired every morning. Now, I could make a suggestion. I would say, oh, you could sleep another 30 minutes. That's a suggestion. It's not the past tense of can in this sentence. It's a suggestion. And so we would say, you could sleep another 30 minutes. Okay. Now, if I try to take that and translate it to Spanish, I think I would say something like, let me change to Spanish here. Tú podrías dormir Is that the way you would say it? Tú podrías dormir otra 30 minutos. Okay, so poder is the idea of can, but podrías is the condicional, and so that is like giving a suggestion. Tú podrías dormir. You could sleep. It's not the past tense. So I think sometimes people say tú pudiste dormir, but I don't know if that's the way you say it or it's tú podrías dormir. Okay, how would you say it? Would you say tú podrías dormir or tú pudiste dormir? Which way?
Podrías.
Tú podrías? That's like a suggestion. Okay, good. Okay, so that is that's how we use could. We use it past tense of can and or suggestions. So in this first exercise on page 80 with all of these questions, these are suggestions, all right? And so we need to look at each sentence and then choose the correct suggestion for the problem. For example, number 1 says, I can't afford gas for my car. Remember, when we say afford, it's the idea that you don't, if you say I can't afford, it means you don't have enough money or you don't want to spend that much money. So you say, oh, I can't afford gas for my car. So the suggestion would be number B, well, you could take the bus. Okay, so, you know, the bus. In Dallas, we have DART, which is bus or train. For many people, taking the bus or taking the train is cheaper than buying gas for your car. So that's a good suggestion. You could take the bus. Number 2 says, my credit card bills are too high. All right, now high is, alto, but we use it for, caro, muy caro. They're too expensive, but we say too high. So what suggestion would you use here?
You could talk to a debit counselor.
Okay, so that's pronounced debt. Debt. A debt.
Debt.
Mm-hmm.
Debt
Debt counselor.
counselor.
Uh-huh. So debt is como debidos. I think in Spanish, debidos is what you owe or your debt if you
Debt.
have something. Okay, good. You could talk to a debt counselor. Okay. Claudia, can you read number 3?
I need to find a job.
Okay. What would be the suggestion?
You could look at an online job search.
Okay. Number D, you could look at an online job site. That means to use your computer on the internet and you look at an online job site. Good.
I can afford a new computer. You could use email interest.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put Paulina here. Now it says Paulina. Okay. So I can't afford a new computer.
You could.
Well, I think you could use your credit card.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the correct answer. You could use
your credit card.
your credit card, right? So many people, if they can't afford something, they use a credit card. But then they get in trouble and they have the problem in number 2. My credit card bills are too high. Yeah, so you have to be very, very careful with credit cards.
Okay.
Claudia, number 5.
My rent is too expensive. As letter C, you could find a cheaper apartment.
Good. Okay. You could find a cheaper apartment. And then Paulina, number 6.
My cell phone bill is too high. You could use email interest.
Okay, so you could you could use email instead. So the word, do you understand instead? The word instead is en español es como en lugar de algo.
Okay.
It's in the place of something. We would say, oh, instead of doing this, you can do this. So en lugar de algo. Mm-hmm.
Instead.
So all of these are suggestions, and they all use the word could. Now, in exercise number 2 here, we need to use the correct verb form. And this is whether it's with the ing or without the ing. Okay. So Oh, we've got Nina coming. All right, hang on just a second. Hi, Nina.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Okay, we are in the white book, and we're on page 80, 80.
Okay.
So, and we're right here on this section on page 80 in section number 2, right here. So, Claudia, number 1, do we say you should buy or you should buying a new car?
You should buy.
Good. You should buy a new car. Now, when we use the word should, that's when we give advice. Okay. So if someone says, my car is very old. If you want to give advice, you will say you should buy a new car. Okay. But we could also make a suggestion. If you wanted to suggest the idea, you could say you could buy a new car. So there's poco diferencia. There's a small difference between advice and suggestion. And we use should for advice, and we use could for the suggestion. Paulina, number 2.
How about take out a loan?
Okay, on this one, we're going to use taking. How about taking out, taking out a loan?
A loan.
Good. Okay, Nina, do you have number 3?
Okay. You call using a credit card?
Okay, you could use a credit card?
Yeah.
Good. Yes, we would say you could use a credit card, and we would not say you could using a credit card. Good. Claudia, number 4.
Why don't you talking to a debt counsel?
Why don't you say again? Why don't you?
Talking.
Okay. No, it's going to be talk. Why don't you talk?
Talk. Okay.
Why don't you talk to a debt counselor? And Paulina, number 5.
You should apply for scholarship.
Okay, you should apply for a scholarship. Okay, do you know the word scholarship? Scholarship, una beca.
Oh, okay.
Para una
Scholarship.
universidad o colegio. A scholarship.
Okay. Scholarship.
And the verb apply, you have the verb in Spanish aplicar, but in English, it's a little different. It's como solicitar. If you look for a job, it's como solicitar un tipo de trabajo, okay? You apply, solicitar for a job. And Nina, number 6.
How about looking in the newspaper?
Good. We will say, how about looking in the newspaper? Okay. So these are a little bit difficult. It's difficult to know sometimes when you use the ing and when you don't. Okay, now let's look at this section here on page 80. And on these, we need to decide if this is advice or suggestion. And we use could for suggestion, should for advice. For example, number 1, I don't have enough money at the end of each month. Do you have any advice? Okay, so because it says advice, we want to respond with the word should. You should try to save a little each month. Okay, that's the idea of save a little money. Save a little money each month. So that's the advice. So Claudia, on number 2, read that one.
Number 2. You could find one online, or you could go to the mall.
Okay, good. So the question is
Where do you get
I.
suggest?
Where do you suggest I buy?
Yes.
Where
Where
Suggest.
do you suggest I buy a new camera?
Good. Thank you.
You could find one online, or you could go to the mall.
Okay. Okay, so very often in Spanish you use the word que in many, many places. And when you're thinking a sentence in Spanish, you would probably put the word que after suggest. You know, donde sugieres que yo compro un cámara nueva. Okay. In English, sometimes we don't even translate the word que. We just say, where do you suggest I buy? Okay. Now, we could say, where do you suggest that I buy? And it would be okay. But very often we don't use that word. We just say, where do you suggest I buy a new camera? Nina, number 3.
Do you know how to apply for college? Can you give me any advice? You should talk to a counselor.
Good. You should talk to a counselor. So that's advice. Advice. You should talk. Good. Claudia, number 4.
My tooth hurts. What should I do? You should go to the dentist.
Good. Okay. So that one is easy because in the question it says, what should? So if someone says in the question, what should I do? Then yes, you say you should do something. You should go to the dentist. All right. Number 5, Paulina.
Can you suggest a good place to go on vacation? You could go to Hawaii or maybe Las Vegas.
Okay. Very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an expensive vacation, especially Hawaii. Yeah. So yes, so suggest a good place. So you could go
You could
to
go.
Hawaii. Okay. And Nina, number 6.
I want to get a good grade on my tests. What should I do? You should study hard this weekend.
Okay, good. You should study.
Study.
Study. You should study hard this weekend. That's like the idea of study a lot, study much, mucho, study hard this weekend. We say, you know, you have trabajo duro, we say work hard. We also say study hard. It's like to work hard at something. Okay. So you can look at these answers in the back of the book here. So check your answers later. I want us to look now in your green book. And so we need to look on page 88. 88. And this lesson is about using verbs after prepositions, okay? So you see in the lesson title, it says gerunds after preposition, okay? Don't worry about that word gerund. That's not important, but a gerund is a verb with ing. So, for example, to think, you know, if I think, that, you know, think is a verb. If I say ing, it's the word thinking. Okay. If I say the word study, the gerund is studying. Okay. So, for example, studying is very important. If you have an exam, studying is very important. So I'm taking the verb and adding ing, and so this is similar to Spanish in certain ways. Let me share my screen, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so in Spanish, you have examples. Let me make this larger. In Spanish, you have examples of verbs like acabar, where you add a preposition like de, and then you use an infinitive, okay? So, acabo de trabajar would translate in English. Let me get to English. That would mean I just finished working. So the verb acabar means one thing, but if you say acabar de, it means it's a little different. You can say acabar con, and it's a little different. Acabo con la leche means we ran out of milk. You know, we have no more milk. But acabar de means to finish, to be done with something. So I just finished working. So in English, we have to put the ing on the end of the word. I just finished working. So many times in English, we use an ing when in Spanish, you're using the AR or ER-IR form. Okay, look at this one here. This says, se avergonzó de hacer algo. Okay. In English, that would be he was ashamed of doing, so I need the ing. He was ashamed de hacer, we would say of doing, algo, something. Comencé a caminar. Okay, so here's another, the a is a preposition used with comencé a caminar. It would be like he began walking. Comencé a caminar. He began walking. So this is an example where you use ing. Dejan de fumar. Okay, so that would be they. So Spanish, here's an example. Dejar alone means one thing. Dejar de plus the infinitive means to stop. In English, we say to stop doing something. This would be they stop smoking. They stop smoking. Okay, me preocupo por, so here's por, that's a preposition. Me preocupo por manejar sobre hielo. So I am worried, we would say worried about driving. So here's where we need to use ing, worried about driving on ice. Okay, piensa en viajar. That would translate to, let's say, ella piensa en viajar. She is thinking about traveling. So I'm using ing. En viajar is about traveling. So when you see these constructions in Spanish with a AR like hablar, ER like comer, IR like vivir, after the prepositions like de, a, con, por, para, okay? Usually in English, the verb will be with an ing. We call that a gerund. Okay. So on page 88, let's look at this here where it says we use in, these are prepositions, in and of, about, and for. Those are all prepositions, are examples of prepositions. And we often use prepositions in phrases with adjectives, okay? Adjectives. So an adjective would be, for example, to be excited. To be excited is an adjective. And so we would say excited about something. Or we have the verb or the adjective interested. Well, we say interested in. We use the verb or the preposition in. And so we combine that then with verbs. Okay, for example, we have the word think about. Okay, that's the same as in Spanish when you say pensar en. In English, we say to think about something, to think about. All right, gerunds, that's the verb with ing, often follow these phrases. Okay, so look at the examples here. What are you thinking about doing? All right, look, here's the word do, and you have to put the ing. What are you thinking about doing? And so in the answer it's saying, I'm thinking about buying. You have to put the ing. You can't say, I'm thinking about buy a car. You say, I'm thinking about buying a car. So in Spanish, the way you would say that is, I'm thinking pienso en comprar un carro. Okay, but in English we say, I'm thinking about buying a car. Look at the next one. What is she afraid of? All right, so afraid, in Spanish you say tener miedo, to have fear. But in English we usually say to be afraid, to be afraid. Asustado, I think, is another Spanish way. That's an adjective. But what is she afraid of? So notice we put of with the word afraid. She's afraid of losing her job. Okay, she's afraid of losing her job. Now in Spanish that would be saying ella tiene miedo de, or tiene miedo que perder su trabajo. Would you say tener miedo que or tener miedo de?
Tener miedo de.
De, okay. So de very often in English translates to of. She's afraid of losing her job. All right, now, the next one. What are they interested in? So very often with the word to be interested in, we use the pronoun or the preposition in. What are they interested in doing? Okay, they're interested in applying for a loan. Okay. Now, these thoughts are more difficult because in Spanish you have reflexivo, you have reflexive, So in English, I would probably, or Spanish, you'd say, ellos, ellos se interesan. Ellos se interesan en solicitar por una
Por un
what is it?
préstamo.
¿Cómo?
Préstamo.
Préstamo. Okay, a loan. Okay, so we would say they're interested in, es como tener interés, to have interest. We say interested in. They're interested in applying for a loan. Okay, in this orange box here, you have different examples of how we say the verb plus a preposition, and all of these will usually have another word that is a gerund, a verb plus ing. For example, afraid of is what you had in the example here. She's afraid of losing her job. Okay. Excited about. Okay. So we could say an example. She is excited about getting a new job. Okay, I'm using getting. Or she is excited about going to college. Or she's excited about traveling to England. Okay, so excited about. Famous for. Famous, famoso. Famous for. So we could say Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is famous for playing golf. Tiger Woods is famous for playing golf. Good at. Good at. Good at is a way of saying tener habilidades de hacer algo. Okay, to have abilities to do something. So I can say my daughter is good at mathematics. Okay. That means she has skill, habilidad in mathematics. Okay. I can say my son is good at, well, I didn't use the gerund there, did I? I would say my daughter is good at doing mathematics. You could say it that way. Or my son is good at working with computers. That means he has skill with it or abilities. We have happy about. To be happy about something is very similar to be almost like excited about, but we say happy about. I'm happy about seeing that movie. Okay. Or I'm happy about watching the Super Bowl. It's to communicate un placer. Okay, interested in, we had that example here. They're interested in applying for a loan. Or they're interested in buying a new car. or they're interested in, or he's interested in taking an English class, okay? Interested in taking. Nervous about. Nervous, okay? I think nervous is nervioso. So we talk about being nervous. So we can say, I am nervous about going to the dentist. Everyone is nervous about going to the dentist.
Oh.
Yeah. Sad about. Okay, that's kind of the opposite of happy about. We can be sad about. I am sad about losing my job. But you can say it's not always a gerund. I can say something like, I'm sad about the weather. Okay. But I'm sad about losing, 2 weeks ago, people were saying, I'm sad about losing electricity because they were cold. Okay. To thank es agradecer. You can say agradecer de in Spanish. In English, we would say to be thankful for, or to thank someone for. We do this many times. I do. I think many people, when they pray, they say, thank you, Lord, for being good to me. All right, I'm using a gerund there, being good. Or you think, I thank my brother for helping my parents. I thank my brother for helping my parents. Okay, think about, we have the example here. I'm thinking about buying a car. Sometimes that's very similar to be interested in. I'm interested in buying a car. It means you're thinking about buying a car. You also say in Spanish, pienso comprar un carro. In English, you would say, I'm planning to buy a car. But for that one, you wouldn't use the gerund. You would say, I'm planning to buy a car, or I'm thinking about buying a car. So you have to learn when you use gerunds and when you don't. Tired of. Tired of. I know one way in Spanish you say, me harto de hacer algo, okay, to be tired of, or me canso de hacer algo, to be tired of doing something. We always say to be tired of. I'm tired of doing homework. I'm tired of studying English every day. But it's hard, isn't it? I'm tired of working so many hours. Okay, people say this all the time. And then worried about. I had the example on that other sheet. Preocupar por algo. We say to worry about something. I'm worried about driving, for 2 days. I'm worried about, we can say, it doesn't have to be a gerund. We can say, I'm worried about the rain. I'm worried about my job. But you can say a gerund, I'm worried about driving in heavy traffic. Okay. I'm worried about losing my electricity. We worry about all kinds of things. Okay. So let's look here at the different exercises. We have the verbs to apply, to find, to get, to lend, to make, to move, to open, to pay, to spend, and to start. Oh, okay. Do you know all of these words? Do you know all of these? Or is
Spend. What is spend?
Spend, gastar. Gastar is to spend. Gastar dinero, to spend money. So in English, we also say to spend time. In Spanish, you would say pasar tiempo. In English, we sometimes say to spend time. So you can spend money, you can spend time. And everyone understand the word lend. Lend is prestar. Okay. In Spanish, you say prestar atención. Okay, that means to, or dar oída, to give ear. Hace caso, to pay attention. We use different forms of that. But, okay, so number one, you have the example. I'm worried about paying interest on my credit card balance. Okay, so here's where we use the word pay, and we have to add the ing. I'm worried about paying. Okay, look at number two. Rob is afraid. Now, how would we do this one? Do you know what verb we would use?
Getting.
Okay, good. That's going to be getting. Rob is afraid of getting into debt. Now, we could also use the word go. Rob is afraid of going into debt. It's the same. We can say both of those. He's afraid of getting into debt. He's afraid of going into debt. But for both of those, you use ing with the verb. And then it says, he pays for everything with cash. What about number three? Have you ever thought about
Obeying.
Opening.
Yes, you would say opening. So you go to the bank to open a checking account. So, we open a door, you open the store, but we also open a checking account. So remember, thought about is the past tense of think about. So thought is past tense of think. Number 4, Elizabeth is happy about
Muy bien.
Finding.
Finding.
Yes, that's going to be finding. Elizabeth is happy about finding an apartment she can afford. That means she has enough money to pay for. She can afford. Number 5, Elena is excited about
Started.
which one?
Study.
Starting.
Start.
Starting
Starting.
at the community college.
Okay, so that's like comenzar. Comenzar or empezar. Starting classes at the community college. Okay, number 6. I'm tired of,
Making.
yeah. So if you buy a car on credit with the bank, you will have a payment every month. So people say, oh, I'm tired of making payments on my car. Number 7, Franco isn't interested in,
Applying.
yeah, that's going to be applying for a loan. He isn't interested in applying for a loan. Maybe he doesn't have good credit, so he doesn't want to apply for a loan. Number 8, thank you for.
Making.
Lending.
Yes, so with the money, it would be lending. Thank you for lending me money
Money
for school. Lending. We also use the verb loan. Loan could work. We would say, thank you for loaning me. So loan can be a noun. Okay, to get a loan, that's a noun, but we also use loan as a verb. Thank you for loaning me money for school, or thank you for lending me. Number 9, we're thinking about moving. Good. We're thinking about moving to a nicer neighborhood. And of course, that means more money. Everything costs more money. Nicer neighborhood costs more money. And number 10, she's famous for,
She's famous for spending.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Spending money.
yes, in Spanish, do you have a word like sarcasm? Do you know sarcasm?
Oh,
To be sarcastic.
sarcastic.
Yeah, this is a sarcastic comment. Okay, she's famous. She's famous for spending a lot of money on clothes. Es como una idea negativa. She's famous for spending a lot of money on clothes. Okay, so It's already 10:38. You can try these, do this with your homework, okay? We're going to stop class. So try to work on those. And then in your white book, you want to do the homework on pages 82 and 83. 82 and 83. And so in the YouTube class, Allie will review the homework, okay, for everyone.
Okay.
I hope she does that. Okay. All right. Any questions?
No.
No, teacher.
Okay. Let me pray and we'll go. Thank you, Lord, for this class. Thank you for these ladies who attended. And I pray that you would help them as they continue to learn and to study, to read and to think in English. I pray that you would continue to care for our families as this pandemic continues and the danger to us and to our families. I pray that you would protect us and that you would be good to us each day. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Okay, bye. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
teacher.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.